You're standing at the edge of a cliff, life's chaos swirling around you like a tempest. Every setback feels like a gust threatening to push you over the edge. But what if I told you there's a way to plant your feet so firmly that no storm could ever shake you? What if the secret to weathering life's hurricanes isn't in fighting harder, but in caring less? Sounds crazy, right? But this isn't some new age mumbo-jumbo. It's an ancient wisdom that's helped emperors rule empires and prisoners find freedom in chains. Today, we're diving into the counterintuitive world of Stoicism, where giving fewer F's isn't just liberating, it's the key to unlocking your true potential. Buckle up, because you're about to learn how to turn life's lemons into the sweetest lemonade you've ever tasted. In this video, we'll explore the counterintuitive idea that when life hurts, caring less about it can actually lead to greater happiness and success. We'll unpack the wisdom of Stoic philosophers and show you how to apply it to your modern-day struggles. If you're digging this Stoic vibe, smash that like button and drop a comment below. Let's get Stoic, shall we? The Stoic perspective on pain. Picture this: ancient Rome, bustling streets, and a group of dudes in togas dropping knowledge bombs that would echo through the ages. These weren't just any philosophers, they were the OGs of not giving a damn. Zeno, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, names that might sound like they belong in a gladiator movie, but trust me, these guys were onto something big. They figured out that the secret to dealing with life's curveballs wasn't about dodging them, but about changing how we see the game altogether. Now let's get one thing straight. Stoicism isn't about being an emotionless robot. It's about reframing your relationship with suffering. Think of it like this: pain is inevitable, but suffering, that's optional. The Stoics taught that it's not the events in our lives that mess us up, but our judgments about those events. It's like you're the director of your own mental movie. You can't always control what scenes life throws at you, but you have total power over how you interpret and react to them. Here's where the magic happens: the power of indifference. Not the I don't care about anything kind of indifference, but a strategic I choose what to care about approach. The Stoics called this apatheia, a state of mind where external events don't ruffle your feathers. Imagine walking through life with an invisible force field, where petty annoyances and even major setbacks just bounce off. That's the level of mental toughness we're aiming for. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. When you stop letting every little thing get to you, you free up a ton of mental energy for the stuff that really matters. Embracing the suck. Why caring less matters. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why the hell should you care less? Isn't caring what makes us human? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into the paradox of attachment. See, here's the kicker. The more desperately we cling to things, ideas, or outcomes, the more we set ourselves up for a world of hurt. It's like trying to hold on to water. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. Our modern world is obsessed with attachment to status, possessions, even our own identities. But what if I told you that this attachment is the very thing holding you back? Enter the concept of freedom through detachment. It sounds counterintuitive, right? But hear me out. When you loosen your grip on expectations and outcomes, something magical happens. You start to experience life more fully, without the constant anxiety of what if. It's like switching from a game where you're always trying to win to one where you're just enjoying the play. This doesn't mean you stop setting goals or striving for greatness. It means you stop tying your happiness to specific outcomes. You learn to dance in the rain instead of waiting for the storm to pass. Now, let's talk about resilience. In a world that seems to be going off the rails on a daily basis, Building mental toughness isn't just nice, it's necessary. Caring less about the small stuff, and let's be honest, most of it is small stuff, is like building emotional armor. It's not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about choosing your battles wisely. When you're not knocked sideways by every little setback, you become a force to be reckoned with. You become the person who can stay calm in a crisis, who can lead when others are losing their heads. In a chaotic world, the ability to care less about the noise and focus on what truly matters isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. The Art of Not Giving an F, Stoic Edition. All right, let's get real for a second. We're not talking about turning into some apathetic zombie who doesn't care about anything. We're talking about selective apathy, the Stoic superpower of choosing what deserves your mental energy. Imagine having a limited number of EFs to give each day. Wouldn't you want to use them wisely? That's what the Stoics were all about. They understood that caring about everything is basically the same as caring about nothing. By cultivating this selective apathy, you're not becoming indifferent to life, you're becoming a connoisseur of what truly matters. So, how do we identify what's worth our precious EFs? The Stoics had a nifty trick for this. Focus on what you can control. Your actions, your thoughts, your reactions, these are your domain. Everything else? It's in the not my circus, not my monkeys category. This doesn't mean you ignore the world around you. It means you engage with it strategically. You stop wasting energy on things you can't change and channel that power into areas where you can make a real difference. It's about being proactive rather than reactive, steering your life instead of being tossed around by every wave that comes your way. Now comes the tricky part, letting go of the rest. This is where the rubber meets the road in Stoic practice. It's one thing to know intellectually that you shouldn't care about something. It's another to actually release that emotional attachment. But here's the secret. Letting go is a skill, and like any skill, it gets easier with practice. Start small. Did someone cut you off in traffic? Let it go. Did you get a nasty comment on social media? Let it go. Each time you choose not to engage with these minor annoyances, you're flexing your Stoic muscles. Over time, you'll find yourself naturally unbothered by things that used to drive you up the wall. And that, my friends, is freedom. Practical techniques for caring less. Time to get our hands dirty with some Stoic mind hacks. First up, the dichotomy of control. This is the Swiss Army knife of Stoic techniques. Whenever you're faced with a situation, ask yourself, is this something I have control over? If yes, take action. If no, let it go. Simple, right? But this mental switcheroo can be a game changer. Traffic jam, out of your control. Your reaction to it, totally up to you. By focusing on what you can influence, you stop wasting energy on futile worries and channel it into productive action. Next in our Stoic toolkit, negative visualization. No, this isn't about being a Debbie Downer, it's about mentally preparing for worst-case scenarios. Sounds fun, right? But hear me out. By regularly imagining losing the things you value, your job, your health, your PlayStation, you accomplish two things. First, you're less blindsided if shit actually hits the fan. Second, and more importantly, you cultivate a deep appreciation for what you have right now. It's like emotional insurance against life's curveballs. Plus, when you've already pictured the worst, most of what actually happens seems pretty mild in comparison. Last but not least, memento mori. Remember you will die. Morbid, maybe, powerful, absolutely. This isn't about being gloomy, it's about perspective. When you keep in mind that your time is limited, it becomes a lot easier to figure out what really matters. Suddenly, That guy who didn't text you back doesn't seem so important. That work project that's stressing you out? Just a blip in the grand scheme of things. Memento mori helps you zoom out and see the bigger picture. It's not about being paralyzed by the thought of death, but being energized by the preciousness of life. When you remember that you're not getting out of this alive, it becomes a lot easier to stop sweating the small stuff and focus on what truly counts. Overcoming common obstacles. Let's face it, society isn't exactly keen on the whole care less philosophy. We're bombarded with messages telling us to care more, do more, be more. It's like being in a constant state of FOMO on steroids. But here's the thing, societal pressure is just another external that you don't control. The next time you feel that gnawing anxiety to keep up with the Joneses, remember, the Joneses are probably just as miserable. They're just better at Instagram. Your job isn't to meet society's expectations. It's to define your own values and live by them. When you start caring less about what others think, you free yourself to pursue what truly matters to you. Now let's tackle a tricky one: managing relationships while caring less. At first glance, it might seem like Stoicism and close relationships are at odds. Won't caring less make you a cold, distant jerk? Not if you do it right. The key is to care deeply about the right things in your relationships, like trust, respect, and genuine connection, while letting go of the petty stuff. Stop obsessing over who texted last or why your partner loaded the dishwasher wrong. Instead, focus on being present and authentic. Paradoxically, when you stop sweating the small stuff in relationships, you create space for deeper, more meaningful connections. Here's a curveball for you. How do you balance ambition with detachment? Isn't the drive to achieve fundamentally at odds with caring less? Not necessarily. The Stoic approach isn't about abandoning your goals. It's about changing your relationship with them. Instead of being obsessed with the outcome, focus on the process. Find joy in the daily grind, the small improvements, the journey itself. Set ambitious goals, work hard towards them, but don't tie your self-worth to achieving them. This way, you can pursue greatness without being crushed by setbacks. Remember, the Stoics weren't passive observers of life. Many were leaders, entrepreneurs, and high achievers. They just knew how to keep their cool while climbing to the top. The unexpected benefits of caring less. Let's talk about the secret sauce of caring less: enhanced focus and productivity. When you stop spreading your mental energy thin over a million little worries, you suddenly have a laser-like focus for what truly matters. It's like Marie Kondoing your brain. By decluttering your mental space of unnecessary concerns, you create room for deep work and creative thinking. You'll find yourself powering through tasks that used to take hours, simply because you're not constantly distracted by trivial anxieties. This Stoic approach turns your mind into a lean, mean productivity machine, allowing you to achieve more while actually doing less. Now, here's a plot twist. Caring less can significantly improve your mental health and overall well-being. Sounds counterintuitive, right? But think about it. How much of your stress and anxiety comes from caring too much about things you can't control? By adopting a more Stoic mindset, you're essentially giving your brain a break from the constant barrage of worries. This doesn't mean you become emotionally numb. Instead, you develop a healthier relationship with your emotions. You'll find yourself less reactive to stressors, more resilient in the face of challenges, and generally more at peace. It's like upgrading your mental operating system to one that runs smoother and crashes less often. Here's the kicker. Caring less actually leads to deeper connections and authenticity. When you stop trying to please everyone and conform to every social expectation, you create space to be your genuine self. You'll attract people who appreciate you for who you really are, not for the mask you put on. In your existing relationships, you'll find a new depth of honesty and vulnerability. By letting go of petty grievances and focusing on what truly matters, you create room for more meaningful interactions. It's a paradox. By caring less about superficial aspects of relationships, you end up caring more deeply about the things that truly count. You become a rock for others, offering a calm presence in a world of chaos. From theory to practice, real-life success stories. Meet Jake, a tech entrepreneur who turned failure into his secret weapon. After his first startup crashed and burned, Jake was devastated. But then he stumbled upon Stoicism and decided to embrace the careless mindset. Instead of seeing failure as a personal defeat, he reframed it as valuable data. Jake started taking bigger risks, knowing that setbacks couldn't break him. He stopped obsessing over investor opinions and focused on building products he believed in. The result? His next venture skyrocketed, not despite his failures, but because of the resilience they built. Jake's story shows that when you stop fearing failure, you open yourself up to incredible opportunities. Now, let's talk about Sarah, a college athlete who conquered her performance anxiety through Stoic principles. Sarah was a talented runner, but her fear of failure often held her back in big races. She'd get caught up in what-ifs and psyche herself out before even reaching the starting line. That's when her coach introduced her to Stoic practices. Sarah began focusing solely on her preparation and effort, things within her control, rather than obsessing over outcomes. She practiced negative visualization, imagining the worst possible race scenarios until they lost their power over her. On race days, she'd remind herself that her worth wasn't tied to her performance. The transformation was remarkable. Sarah not only improved her times, but also found a newfound joy in competing, free from the crushing weight of expectations. Lastly, meet David, a single dad who found peace in chaos by adopting a Stoic mindset. Juggling a demanding job, 2 energetic kids, and a mountain of responsibilities, David was constantly stressed and overwhelmed. He felt like he was failing at everything. Then he discovered Stoicism and the art of caring less. David started practicing the dichotomy of control, focusing his energy on what he could influence and letting go of the rest. He stopped trying to be the perfect parent and instead concentrated on being present and authentic with his kids. By accepting that some days would be messy and imperfect, David paradoxically became a more relaxed and effective father. His story reminds us that sometimes caring less about being perfect allows us to care more about what truly matters. I hope you enjoyed this dive into Stoic wisdom and the art of caring less. If you made it this far, you're clearly ready to level up your life. Write Stoic Mind in the comments to show you're part of the tribe. New to the channel? Hit that subscribe button for more ancient wisdom with a modern twist. Until next time, stay stoic, my friends.